Hello, welcome to Back Row Waffle.
Hello, I'm Zion. You might know me from such streams as GTA Chaos Mode and Baldur's Gate 3.
And I'm Gabby. You might know me from occasionally streaming on Twitch back like 2 years ago.
Occasionally. You remember that big pandemic thing? That's when we were always around.
That was when we were always around. But
And
we are
now, I'm
Yeah.
around and you're sometimes around, and that's the way things are going. And we decided to jump in here and waffle because we don't really get to do that much anymore because most of the time we're playing Marvel Rivals.
It's true. We're basically
very
just
true.
two Twitch streamers who enjoy talking about games, film, TV. And some people that watch Zion, not me because I don't stream anymore, were like, you two should waffle on a podcast. And here we are fulfilling those dreams.
And so we decided to do that because we feel like it's a good output for waffling. Hence the name of this podcast, which is Back Row Waffle.
There was a lot of debate about our name.
There was a lot of debate.
We landed on waffle because we
did
always
land on
waffle.
Because I think it might be the most used word when we're sitting in a Discord call together, trying to start a stream and instead just talking about actual nonsense for about 45 minutes, which is probably why we never finished, among other reasons, why we never finished Resident Evil 6.
We're not good at finishing stuff, but we
We're
will
not.
finish this episode.
We might finish this episode. I feel like we do need to cut off at a certain time.
Yeah.
When we're like, you know what, people have probably had enough of this.
They've had enough of the waffle.
Until next time, when you get to watch another episode of it, and then it's just endless, and we'll probably just be talking forever. But if you're sat commuting somewhere, you can listen to this and try not to like snort laugh or anything, because I don't know. I might come out with something completely out of pocket, and Gabby will start laughing, and then I'll start laughing, and then hopefully you'll start laughing.
You can snort laugh with me.
We can all snort laugh together.
So let us know in the comments if you enjoy the waffle.
Exactly. So we have like broad notes.
Broad notes.
Of what we're going to talk about. Broad notes. We've been discussing this for months about what we should talk about.
Yeah.
And it came down to stuff.
I think this episode will be a bit different to our normal episodes because this is like an intro waffle.
Yeah, so we get to waffle about ourselves, which is my favourite thing to do.
It's true. And then other episodes will be waffling maybe about a specific thing, like a specific TV show or upcoming games, you know. It'll have more of a theme. But this waffle is just
waffle.
Unpoliced waffle. Is that the word?
What? Unscripted.
Unscripted waffle.
Guff. Just guff. Yeah.
Gubbins, guff.
But yes. But I would love to do like discussion episodes because we've already talked about a few things like certain films and TV shows that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Which will obviously contain spoilers, so warning when we get to those. But I'm really looking forward to that because it's not often that I get to sit down and just properly discuss something.
Yeah, and I feel like you'll bring the really intelligent discussion and I will talk about how hot the characters are.
Intelligent? I mean, we can both talk about how hot the characters are. We can do that.
It's true. It's true.
That can be like the bonus extended version where it's just 15 minutes of us just thirsting over characters.
I feel like whenever Zion sends me something like, look at this new game, look at this new thing that's coming out, I'm like, "Quah, he's all right, isn't he? She's a bit of something."
Look at that. Way.
I guess the plot looks good too.
Oh, goodness me. But I guess as introductions go, we are both streamers who met during the big Rona. And we to this day, we still can't remember exactly how that happened. Because every time we discuss it, we're like, yeah, one of it, you raided me. And I'm like, no, I think you raided me. And it's just like, we both raided from this person.
I remember.
Think either of us remember.
I remember you raiding me on an Assassin's Creed Odyssey stream. That's what I was streaming. But I already knew you before you. That was just the first time you raided me, I think. But I don't know where I knew you from before that.
I just spawned in one day.
I think it might be shout out to Mike Paul Vox. I think
it might have been.
I think a lot of the streamers I know now that I've collabed with, I've met through Mike because he would be like, "This person's really cool. You should check out their streams." I'm like, okay.
I think that is something that I would like to dig into a little bit, maybe later in this episode, about where do you think we would be without that event?
I think my life would be completely different without I mean, obviously COVID was awful, but for me, I started streaming because of COVID. You're like, we'll talk about it later, and I'm like, no, let's talk about it now.
It's part of the introduction. We can talk about it right now.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is because at the time I worked at a fast food restaurant chain, and I was on furlough because of lockdown, and I had all this free time, and that's why I started streaming. And the reason I continue streaming is actually because of aforementioned Mike Paul Vox, who raided me with a bunch of viewers who all enjoyed my content. So I carried on streaming past the pandemic and met you and so many other people.
Because I was thinking about it earlier, about not just my own streaming, but yours as well. And I was thinking, like, would you be in the position you're in now without that? Because you started streaming because you wanted to fundraise for another conservation charity.
Yeah.
For context, Gabby works for a conservation charity.
Yes, I do.
And I don't...
WDC, shout out to them.
I'm literally wearing one of their shirts right now.
I do not reflect their views. I'm going to say that now.
No, we'll say that right now. Neither of us do.
All views on my own.
But I was thinking, like, if you weren't fundraising for a conservation charity, would you still be doing, maybe not working at the food place, but would you still be doing the other jobs that you were doing before that without
I don't
streaming? Because I think that's what put you on to working in conservation.
Yeah, it is, because... Well, my first stream was actually, I fundraised for the NHS for their like COVID urgent appeal or whatever. And I said, oh, I'll do a 24-hour gaming marathon, and I got some friends involved. And then I was like, I'll stream it on Twitch so that people who donate can see that I did it, in case there's any doubt. So I was only going to stream that one time, that one 24-hour stream, just to show like, hey, here you go, thanks for donating. I did 24 hours. And in that stream, I don't remember this, but Mike told me that in that stream, he popped in and said hello. And he was like, she seems cool, which I think is hilarious because I wasn't trying to be a streamer, you know? Like, I was just playing games with my friends and providing evidence. So the fact that he was like, she's cool, I'll pop back, you know? But yeah, so then I carried on streaming because, like I said, I was on furlough, I had nothing else to do. And then he raided into me, built a community, blah, blah, blah. And I think about a year in, loads of people were saying like, oh, October's coming up, are you going to play horror games? And for those that don't know, I don't like horror. Well, I don't not like it, but I am a massive scaredy cat, and I don't like being scared. I don't like being jump scared. Zion will know. If we play horror games, I stand in the safe place going, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Gabby is the reason that my headphones are at like 50% volume during October.
Because I just scream. And cry. Yeah,
screams and cries, and it's a mess.
So then I said, okay, well, I'll play horror games, but I'll do it for charity. I'm not doing it, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it for a good cause. So then it was like, okay, what charity should I fundraise for? So then I started looking at charities, and I was like, you know what? I love animals, and animals don't, in my view back then, I thought animals charities barely get picked. When you think of like, what charity should I fundraise for? I mean, obviously every charity deserves to have funds raised for them. But I was like, I'm going to represent the animals. They don't have a voice of their own. I'll be their voice. So I fundraised for the Born Free Foundation. Went really well. Must have been another 2 years. I think it was. When did I join WDC? 2023.
2023. Yeah.
I started streaming in 2020. So it must have been about 2.5 years in. I'd been fundraising a lot for Born Free. I'd gone back to work because lockdown had lifted, and I was miserable. As a creative person, if you're not working a creative job, it's very you feel restricted. You want to be creative, and I had a way to outlet it that was Twitch, but after like a 12-hour shift in a restaurant, you don't want to turn on the camera and be chatty. No, exactly. You want to like lay in your bed and eat crisps and not talk to anyone. So anyway, I was trying to think, what can I do? What do I really want to do? And I thought, well, I either want to work in the games industry because I'm really passionate about gaming. I've been a gamer my whole life. Or I want to work for an animal conservation charity. And then bam, boom, bam, I manifested it.
Managed to combine both because you work in like the gaming branch of WDC. So
I do, yeah. So and none of that would have happened without Twitch, without the lockdown, without streaming, without Twitch. That Mike Paul Vox. Shout out to Mike.
Mike.
I don't know where I would be like now if none of that had
Yeah.
happened. Because I mean, I've always loved animals, but I don't think I really like acknowledged it until I started fundraising for them and, you know, got really into it. So
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd be. Maybe I'd
I don't
still
know.
be miserable at a restaurant.
Maybe I'd still be miserable at a restaurant,
Yeah.
like being stood up on a first date. Oh. But I mean, I feel like the stakes were lower for me. Like I'm not in any sort of life-changing position because of streaming. Well,
I
it's
mean,
more
it's your
the people
yeah.
really for me rather than like career-wise. Because I was thinking about it earlier, and I was thinking like without that, I wouldn't have met like genuinely like half of my mod team on Twitch.
Most
I
of my
feel like we're
friends now
from
are from streaming.
like Mike and you and like your community and the way that we mix together. And like I was thinking about another streamer called Kit, who's a wonderful human
It's
who I
Kit
raided a couple
actually.
of years ago, and I was thinking like again, like a lot of people from her community as well have mixed in with ours, and it's just
Yeah.
like the sheer amount of people that I've met who are now like daily communication with me
Yeah.
and always there is astonishing. Like, and like we wouldn't be doing this
Yeah.
without that. We wouldn't be sat here, you in your office and me somewhere in a theater on the stage. By the way, I'm not even like in. I'm not even in the back row. I'm actually front row right
Yeah,
now. Look at
Zion's
these
made it.
nerds back here. I've made it. I'm made.
In
I
his
might be
empty
facing away
theatre.
from the crowd, and there might be no one there, but I've made it. But I was thinking like things would genuinely be very different because like I got into streaming in about 2018, and it wasn't streamed to start with, but I did like gaming videos with a group of people that I knew locally, and we did like stuff about Halo and Dungeons and Dragons. We did that a bit. That never really took off because life gets in the way, and everyone was extremely busy. But that kind of just pushed me into it, and I ended up enjoying it so much that I started doing it solo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am now. But obviously, solo with this amazing community and collaborators like Gabby,
Yay!
like her over there, sat there, staring at me.
Is my mic
But
okay? My mic is working. Sorry.
sorry, Gabby thought she was muted. It happens a lot. You'll
Did
get
you
used
hear
to
me
it.
say yay?
I heard a very nothing.
I'm interrupting with tech issues, which you'll all learn is signature
This
Gabby.
is
My
this
little
is the
green
most
box
fun
didn't
thing.
light up when I said yay, so then I was like, oh, my mic's
We'll
broken.
never know.
But it's fine.
But yeah, I mean, things would be extremely different without streaming. So that's kind of our introduction as to how we got here, I would think.
How we got here, how we met, why
Yeah.
why we're why we're
Why?
here.
Do you ever wonder why we're here?
Let's not get that deep yet. We'll save that for
Let's not
like
get that. No.
episode 69.
Oh yeah, I was actually thinking the exact same thing. How did we get here? Because we are both absolute children.
Yeah.
But there you go. So, along the lines of introductions and talking about gaming and all of that, what's your favorite games, Gab?
Oh, you wouldn't know. This will come as a shock to you. My favorite games are the Mass Effect trilogy. That's
I
my
am
top.
blown away.
That's my top. And then, well, my top. Let's go top 3 because I find it really hard. Mass Effect trilogy will always be my first answer, but also up there is the Dragon Age series, and Baldur's Gate 3 quickly rose to like top 3.
Which
Last
I
year?
loved
Year
as
before?
well.
Yeah.
I think our playthrough of Baldur's Gate might be the most fun thing I've ever streamed.
It's incredible. We'll link
Because
out
that's
to it
fantastic.
in this video because Zion recorded it all. It's all on YouTube.
It's all there. I think there's 44 parts. So if you watch this like half an hour, 40-minute podcast or something, and you think I could use another 60 or 70 hours of that, you can go and watch that. If you've really got that time. But no, that was a lot of fun because it's such a great game, and I think playing it co-op and making the decisions that we made.
We made decisions that I would never make solo. So I really enjoyed that. But yeah, my favorite games are RPG games are my genre. I play other genres, but like they'll be the ones I go back to all the time. What about you, Zion?
What about me? Well, Mass Effect is up there. I think over the last few years, especially with streaming them, it has become the Yakuza series, though. Like, they're just... Someone in my community was trying to describe the Yakuza series, which is incredibly difficult to do because they are absurd
Every
single
time
one.
I pop in to watch you play Yakuza, something strange is happening. I can
Something
never.
like there's men dressed as babies, there's sheep
The
people,
karaoke.
there's gonna be pirates soon in the new one, there's karaoke. But someone in my community was trying to quantify what Yakuza is, and they just said it's exactly what video games should be because it's literally just fun.
Mm.
Like there's no sort of deeper meaning to it. Like it does have really good plot and really good character development, but it is just fun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those games that I go back to when I'm just bored
Mm.
or in a bad mood because I'm just like, this is just exactly what I wanted like video games to be when I was younger, was just fun.
Fun.
And it's just perfect for that. But yeah, Mass Effect is definitely up there. Some like driving stuff like Need for Speed, stuff I grew up with. Hitman, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Love a bit of Hitman.
I still to this day have never played Hitman, but Hitman. I did it.
Hitman. Yeah,
Hitman.
you'll
John
learn
Hitman.
quickly that we refer to it as Hitman.
But
No,
I
John
love
Hitman.
watching you play it.
It's just you can be so creative with it.
That's another
Where
thing.
it's just
That's
like-
another game I haven't played it, but I love it because there's so many different ways to achieve the goal.
Yeah.
Because you could just go in there like balls to the wall and just kill everyone in a massive massacre, right?
Yeah.
Or you can like
just be
poison or like throw a bottle at someone's head and take their
Yeah.
take their.
You could go with one of my
outfits.
favorite like knockout options, which is you can lure someone over to a piano and then drop the lid on their head. I mean, it's just a playground Hitman basically.
Yeah.
Here's your objective, do whatever you want. And that's exactly the kind of game I love.
Yeah, it's
So
great.
that's
fun.
definitely up there. So I guess we've ended up with like a top 4 there. Close enough.
It's really hard to say one game because I don't know about you, and this goes for like not just games but like films and TV too. Something I've recently watched or I'm watching, I'll be like, this is my favorite. But then I'll, 2 months later, I'll be watching something else and I'll be like, no, this is my favorite. Like it's really hard to decide
Actually know
sometimes.
this.
Yeah.
I find that a lot with TV shows. Where I'm just like, this is the TV show that I will rewatch forever, and then I watch another one. And I'm like, maybe this one.
And like when people say like, oh, because I went to uni and I have a film degree, and so people are always like, oh, what's your favorite film? And I literally freeze up. I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you my one favorite film. There's so many films I love, all for different reasons.
It's very hard to do.
Really hard to
pick. My go-to is always Gladiator. I feel like if someone was to ask my favorite movie, I would just say that as an answer. But I mean, it's close. It's very close. Like
I
feel
already
like
can't remember what my favorite film is. So
exactly, I feel like if someone asked me my favorite movie out of the like 2,500 that I've watched, I would just be like, it's one of them.
Yeah,
I could give you a top 15 if you want.
Yeah, I literally, my instinct went for Inception. I really like Chris Nolan films.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say Interstellar, and I thought you can't say Interstellar. You've seen it like twice. That's not your favorite film if you've only watched it twice. But there's some films that I think are really incredible, but I'm like, I've seen it now. I've experienced it. I don't need to experience it again.
What? I guess that kind of helps you guess though. Like, what is the film that you've rewatched the most? Because for me, I would say it's probably the first Avengers film, which I must have seen like 14 or 15 times.
Yeah, I think all of mine are a bit trashy. They're not trashy.
Nothing wrong with that.
But my instinct was to say Pretty Woman. Really loved the film Pretty Woman. It's a very dated film. But yeah, I love that film. I think that film's quite sentimental to me because my mum loves that film, so we watched it a lot when I lived at home. The other film that came to mind, we did.
Last year, I think.
Yeah, I really love Pretty Woman. It's just like I said, it's like a nostalgic film for me.
Yeah.
Avatar, I really love Avatar. Say what you want to say about it, but I remember sitting in the cinema in 2009 watching Avatar and being blown away by the possibility on film. And I remember watching the behind the scenes on the DVD back when that was a thing. And like it showed James Cameron, he had like this screen. So he'd be walking around like an empty, kind of like VR now. He'd be walking around an empty room. And if he holds the screen up, it shows him what part of Pandora he's like walking through, so you can envision it. And like in 2000, I mean, now I think now we have VR and stuff. It's like, yeah, duh. But for us millennials, in 2009, that was like mind blowing to me. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that's possible.
I have my like complaints about story aspects of Avatar, but for that year, that
Yeah,
kind of technology is
it was
insane.
insane. And Avatar 2 I thought was incredible as
Beautiful.
well. I mean, I work for whale and dolphin conservation. I love water and marine stuff, so
It
I
was
loved
like
it
a
for that reason.
3-hour Attenborough documentary
Yeah, but
with plot.
also, I'm a big kind of believer. I want to protect the earth and save nature. So an Avatar kind of the underlying theme of Avatar is that mankind destroys nature because of greed. So
Yeah,
although it's a recycled story, I think the main
it
principle
works. And it puts
is
butts in seats so more
yeah,
people know about it.
yeah.
So it works.
And Avatar 2, I mean, mild spoiler, but there's a whale-like creature in it, and have you seen Avatar 2?
I have.
Yeah,
He's got
okay.
6 eyes or 4
I
eyes. I mean,
think
that
he's
whale
got
had a lot
four
of
eyes,
eyes.
and I think he's got multiple um
Flippers.
flippers. Are they called flippers? I don't think. Anyway,
No,
there's a.
Sally.
Where's my colleagues? No, but so when they get hunted for the mineral or whatever it is that they have in them,
Yeah, it's like
but that
the whale
whole
oil. Yeah.
process is quite true to how whales are hunted. Like they get struck by grenade-tipped harpoons. Oftentimes they miss the first time, so they shoot them multiple times and they suffer, and it's awful.
Mm,
So like for me, I was like, oh, it's not nice, but it's really nice that James Cameron is bringing light to that, because that is a real thing that still happens today, and it is that
exactly. Yeah.
awful. And all the stuff about like the whale having that emotion and that connection with the I can't remember what the character's name is. That's all kind of based on real whales. They have
Yeah.
they have those emotions. So
They are emotional creatures. They can recognize things like that. So yeah,
yeah, so there you go.
it's
And
very
they are
accurate.
like a pod. They have family. They have their own cultures. They have kind of these connections. So yeah, I just really like that aspect of it. So
Yeah,
Avatar is one I've rewatched a lot. Back to
it's
your
right up
original question.
I feel like mine is nowhere near as deep as that, but I feel like it is just like one of those comfort movies, and it's Easy A with Emma
Oh
Stone.
yeah, yeah,
It's just one of those movies that's just infinitely rewatchable because it's just that enjoyable. Like there's no
yeah,
deeper meaning to it. I just want to watch those characters doing goofy stuff
yeah.
for like an hour and a half.
But it
I
also
want
is
to
a
watch
deeper
Stanley
meaning
Tucci being
because Easy A
well,
is. I've only seen it once, but it's about like women's reputation, right? It's about
yeah, yeah. It's like
women
a coming
tearing
of
women
age
down.
reputation movie,
Yeah,
yeah. Which I love, to be honest. Like coming of age movies are just fantastic. Like
they
John
are.
Hughes, like 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, obviously.
Oh, love the Breakfast
It's
Club.
just we love the Breakfast Club.
If he
But
gets up,
those
we'll all get up.
movies I love. Do you know what's actually a great one? Is Edge of 17
I've
with
seen that.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah,
Great film.
I've only watched it once, but I remember watching it.
Really great film.
I'll match
Uh,
you with Mean Girls. That's another favorite of mine. That's a
that's a great film. It's
great
a really
film.
great film. The
Iconic.
second one, not so much, but
I never.
it's a great film.
Do you mean Mean Girls 2, or do you mean the musical
Oh,
that came out
I mean Mean
recently
Girls 2.
with the
The one from like 2010
yeah? What
or
was
something.
that?
Whatever it
What
was.
was
What are they
that?
doing? Stop making sequels to Mean
That was a
Girls.
cash grab if I ever saw one.
Cash grab. Terrible.
Yeah. There we go then.
No,
Yeah.
great
So
film.
if I'm trying to impress people, I'll tell people that Inception is my favorite film, which it
Yeah.
is one of my favorites. But if we're being honest,
If we're being
it's
honest.
Avatar, Mean Girls, and Pretty Woman.
Yeah, like I'll tell people that it's Gladiator all day long, but it's really the hit Christmas movie from 2024, Hot Frosty. But we don't. Shh. That's a secret just for you guys. It's Gladiator.
There are
Oh
many
man,
great movies, but that was my point
right.
earlier when I said to you, like, movies have different purposes. Like I sit
Yeah,
down to watch Mean Girls to have a laugh and chill. I'll sit down to watch, Inception if I want something deep and complex. I'll watch,
yeah.
don't know, something else if I want to be moved. So it depends what you want to
It's
experience.
all about the mood.
It's all about the mood.
It's like if I want to watch a really good like thriller movie, I'll probably watch Captain America: Winter Soldier because it's just
It's not what
fantastic.
I
It's just
expected you to say when you
no,
said
it's
thriller
great.
movie.
It's genuinely one of my favorite like spy movies because it's not really a superhero movie. It's like a spy thriller
Yeah,
with superheroes in it,
you're not
and
wrong.
that's what makes it so good for me.
You're not
Is
wrong.
that I feel like it's one of the only MCU movies where they're just like an actual really deep, thrilling kind of plot rather
Mm.
than just you know explosions. Which, don't get me
Explosions.
wrong, there's a lot of good MCU movies, but Winter Soldier is always like, if I want a good action movie to watch, that's the one I go to.
I think my favourite Marvel to watch is I really like Black Panther.
Great film.
Great
Very
film.
good film. Great soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
You know, when you're sitting in watching that movie in the theaters and the ending credits start and you're
Yeah.
just like, yes!
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
I do love
Such a
Black
good
Panther.
film.
But yeah.
All
There
of
you go.
that.
It's our favourite movies.
That's the favourite movies.
Look at you guys getting
So,
to know us.
yeah, we are. I'm looking at my notes. I've put regular basis of what the content is going to be. So we did mention like movie discussions and TV discussions,
And game.
which would be really fun, and game discussions. Yeah, can absolutely do that as like.
Was that the
Extra
plan?
episodes.
Did I just throw that
Yeah.
in? Was that the
I think you just threw that in, to be honest, but it
Okay.
works for me. It works for me. That would take a lot more prep though, because it's not like, hey, can you go and watch this movie? It's 2 hours long. It's like, can you go play this game? It's 85 hours.
I suppose more like upcoming games or something, you know? Like maybe not games. I don't know. Do you want game? Let us know if you want us to waffle about games. There we go.
Just tell us. We'll waffle about anything.
We'll let the people talk. This is another dynamic you'll learn, is that Zion has a really nice plan and I will just randomly just be like, we're going to do this now.
Yeah.
And he's like, are we?
All the notes for this episode were written by me.
And I'm just here to be chaotic.
Some of it is so broad. Some of it's really like specific, and some of it is just like I've literally just written, "Hey Gab, what you playing?" because I thought at some point I'll just ask Gabby what she's playing.
Yeah.
Because she's just, but we both just play random other stuff when we're not streaming.
So mild game chat is sprinkled in.
Yeah. Just a little dusting.
Movies, TV shows, maybe games.
Yeah. But I feel like our sort of regular episode will be a bit more like this, where it's just kind of a broad waffling.
Broad waffle.
A broad waffle.
I think like a general topic, and then see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Will we stay on topic? Who knows?
I mean, we've already proven that we won't, judging by this first like half an hour or so.
I know. I'm looking at the fact that it's been half an hour and we're only like on 0.4 of.
It's been half an hour. Good. We gotta go fast.
Well, my recording's at 29 minutes, but the first maybe 3 minutes was me laughing at you trying to start. So yeah,
that is true. we didn't get that far. We did not get that far at all. It's fine. I'm trying to think of things that have happened in the last week or so, and the only thing that came up was what I've written there, which is that there's a new Nintendo Switch.
There is.
Which is it's a Nintendo Switch but slightly bigger.
Yeah, and it's got magnetic holders that snap on.
I'm not sure
holders.
how I feel about that.
Joy-Con. Is it called a Joy-Con?
They are called Joy-Cons. Because
you'll all learn that.
Give, like, the most whimsical name to their thing. Everyone else is just like the DualShock.
The DualShock.
And then we've got Joy-Con.
I was a big Nintendo person when I was a kid. I loved Pokemon and Animal Crossing. Yeah. I've kind of fallen off the Nintendo wheel now. Wagon?
I also have, because I now have a Steam Deck, and I'm just like, I can play anything on my PC here.
Well, this was a thing. So going back to the lockdown chat, I bought the Nintendo Switch in lockdown. You know, like the release with the Animal Crossing. Is it New Horizons? Yeah.
Which must have been like the best-selling game of 2020.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was relieved when it arrived. I think it was about day 3 of lockdown when it turned up, and I was like, thank God, this is.
You were already gone. You literally had a weekend, and you were just like, I'm done. Somebody just hooked Animal Crossing into my veins. I'm over it already. I'm done. I'm out.
No, but like, I think my Switch arrived. I think lockdown had only just happened, right? So my Switch arrived, and I was like, right, that's me for the next few weeks. I'll just play some Animal Crossing. Because back when lockdown was first announced, we didn't know how long it was going to go on. But yeah, so I was like, I'll just play this for the next few weeks. And then, I mean, lockdown went on and on and on. So I just continued to play. I got really far with my island. And then lockdown went away and I didn't touch it again.
Yeah. And then you go back like 6 months later and all of your villagers are just like, I thought you were dead. Or you.
Yeah, they're like, where have you been? It's like, sorry, got real life too. But then I looked at buying like the new Pokemons because I hadn't played like the recent, I think it was Sword and Shield. And it's like 60 quid, and I was like, I'll wait for it to go on offer. By the way, it's still about 50 quid.
It never has gone on offer. We're still waiting.
So I haven't. So then I fell off the Pokemon thing, and then when I started traveling for work, once I started working at WDC, I was like, great, I'll take my Switch along. And then I realised, I've got to buy all the games I want to play again. on the Switch. So I'm like like I wanted to play Dead by Daylight, and so I had to buy that again on the Switch and all that stuff. And I was like, God, I
That's what it
really
comes
wish
down to.
Steam would bring out, a handheld. And then the Steam
And
Deck
then-
got announced.
And
I've not touched my Switch since.
Yeah. So this leads to me just sitting there every morning playing like Balatro and just Stardew Valley and random stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a great
Oh,
idea. I want them to bring out a
great
console
idea.
next so that I can sit,
Yeah.
and
I mean, no one really went for it, but there was the Steam Link, which was a console, but it was like Wi-Fi connected to your PC, so it would just stream games off your PC to your TV.
And then what
it-
would you use to
It had its
control?
own controller. It
Oh.
had like a,
Oh
but
my
instead
God,
of
I didn't
instead
know
of
anything about
thumbsticks,
this.
it was like kind of like circular touchpads,
Oh.
which was a little bit weird because it felt like you were just playing with someone's nipples. Because it was just this.
Come on, Steam. Come on,
It
Valve.
was just, for those of you, anyone who's listening to this like just audio only, you're missing my thumbs just going in circles. But it was just two little circular touchpads.
It's giving me the ick.
It's giving me the ick. It's giving Gabby the ick. But it was kind of a nice controller though. Like it did work well, but I think the latency on it was so,
Right.
for lack of a better term, piss poor, that no one actually, it didn't really sell very well.
When
'Cause a
you
friend of mine
said
had it.
Wi-Fi, I thought, would that be actually any good? Because I remember, I don't know if you
No.
remember
The answer was no.
The PS4 had I can't remember what they called it, but they had a similar thing.
They did, yeah. It was
I can't remember what it was called.
I think the PS TV.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
So you could
'Cause I
have
actually
like
have one.
your PS4 could be connected to like your downstairs TV, but then you could
Yeah,
put the
you could stream it to that device.
And I got one. Like this is way
Oh
back when
my
I
God,
worked at
Gabby,
Game.
are we the only people who own a PS TV?
I don't think I own it. I don't know where it. I mean, I wouldn't have thrown it away, but I don't know where it is. But I worked at Game at the time when it came out, I think. And when you work, I mean, you probably know this. When you work in a specific shop, like Game, for example, you end up buying a lot of the stuff because you're around it all the time. So I bought it,
and you probably have a staff discount.
I think we did. I can't actually remember if we had a staff discount. I think we did. But yeah, I bought one and it was a bit rubbish, to be honest. I think I used it once and never again.
I used it to play PS Vita games.
Oh, I never had a PS Vita, but yeah.
Well, neither did I. That was what was great about it.
Oh, right.
You could play PS Vita games on it.
It's pretty good.
I think it did like PS Vita and PS3 games on it. But again, it did not work very well. Like I didn't pay for mine. Mine came with a PS4 when I bought it.
Right.
And then they very rapidly discontinued it, and they were like, "Okay, that's in the bin."
It didn't work.
They're like, "That didn't work." But that's
yeah.
kind of what the Steam Link was, where it was just like you can stream your PC to your TV, and it's just like, okay, but the latency is too bad to do anything with it. So
yeah, I mean, I think I'd be all right because my TV's right there. So
it's right.
if they still sell it, I might get one.
Might grab one of them.
I was very sad to. You asked me what I was playing, so this is kind of answering this question while continuing on. I am playing Dragon Age Inquisition again, and I started it quite late at night, like I don't know, 4 nights ago, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll play this on the Steam Deck. And I'm very disappointed to say that it doesn't work on the Steam Deck. It's very sad.
That is disappointing.
Because in my head, so when hang on, I'm getting confused. Slow down. When Dragon Age Inquisition came out, I was a PlayStation player, so I played it on the PlayStation 4. So in my head, I'm like, obviously Dragon Age Inquisition is going to work on the Steam Deck because it has controller compatibility. But it just doesn't work. I think you can. I found on Reddit you can like download like a different control pad. I don't know. As soon as it gets confusing, I'm like, I'm out. I'll just sit at my PC.
It's enough. It's enough.
But
I know. I feel that. Where did we get? How did we get here? We went on a tangent.
You mentioned Nintendo Switch 2, and we spoke about the Nintendo Switch 2 for about 3 seconds, and then talked about Steam immediately. So
there's another thing I was going to say about the Switch 2 is that apparently you can use. This is, I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but it's been like hinted at. Apparently you can use the Joy-Con as like a computer mouse. Like you can turn it on its side, and it's got a sensor on the bottom of it.
But why?
And that's what I said. Was just why, because I feel like, are we getting to the point where we're like the people in the chairs in the Wall-E movie? You know, where they just have the screen in front of them? I'm like, are we reaching that point where people are using a mouse to like control their Nintendo Switch. I'm like, do we need this? It's a
Do we
handheld
need
console.
this? I
Can
guess
we
for
just
people that
use?
aren't so PC orientated like we are, I guess that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of like the standard non-gaming household, like mum and dad probably have a laptop,
Yeah. Or a Fire
and
Stick
the
that they can't
kids
use in my case.
and the kids just asked for a Nintendo Switch 2, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, great! Now I have a mouse for my laptop." Is that what you mean? It connects to a laptop?
No, no, I think it's a mouse to like use on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, I just
But
completely
I kind of just
misunderstood.
feel like, are we really that desperate for like speed on a screen where we can't just use an on-screen
I mean, if you're
cursor with
playing
a thumbstick
competitive
or
games,
something?
it would be better, right?
That is
For
true, but
aiming.
I do really worry about the people who play Apex Legends on the Switch. I'm like, are you okay?
I mean, I tried to play DVD, which doesn't require aiming, and that was awful on
Yeah.
handheld when you're used to mouse and keyboard.
It's kind of like my problem with Nintendo is that I love what they make, but they focus on the most like niche, gimmicky stuff rather than like a broad sort of audience.
Yeah.
Where it's just like we have Mario Kart, we have Smash Bros, and we have Zelda. It's like if you want anything outside this bubble, we might.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that was my original point. Is like I used to be big on Nintendo because I played Pokemon was one of my favorite games, but then I couldn't justify spending the money on the Pokemon and then keep upgrading the Nintendo console as they upgrade too. And also, controversial opinion perhaps, but all Pokemon games are the same after a while, so I mean they are. You start as a kid, you get a Pokemon, your mum's like, buy 9-year-old or however old you are, and then there's an evil group that you have to stop. There's a legendary Pokemon thrown in there somewhere.
You start as a 10-year-old, your mother gives you a new pair of shoes and sends you out of the house so she can just live alone with a Mr. Mime for some reason. There's always a Mr. Mime. Or like some other
doing the washing
random
up
Pokemon who's like just living with your mum and like it's kind of weird.
Mum, what are you doing with Mr. Mime?
Mum, no.
That's
come back home. You always get sent home like halfway through the game. It's just like go and see your mum.
Yeah, you fly back and you're like, look at me, Mum, I know how to fly a Pokemon now.
Yeah, you come back on the back of like a legendary Pokemon that's about 50 feet tall.
Yeah.
And you like
as
slide
a 10-year-old
all the way down its back and you're just like, sup.
When you think about Pokemon,
it's terrifying.
Like, when I think about the adventure I go on, the one game that sticks in my mind is Pokemon Sapphire, like the original one, because that's the one I played the most.
By the way.
So I'm just thinking of that one. But as I said, all Pokemon games are the same. So if you haven't played that Pokemon game, but you've played a Pokemon game, you'll relate. Yeah. You're a 10-year-old. You leave your home. You basically travel around the whole region. You have like these group of adults that just like fight you. That just like not you again and fight you. Like just take me home to my mum.
You become the nemesis of like an international organization. Like
they were like, this 10-year-old is making a fool of us.
It was just like this damn 10-year-old's back again. Like we were just trying to cut off Slowpoke tails and like, well, I suppose Sapphire and Ruby it's a little bit more lethal because they're like they go from like Slowpoke tails and like just general Pokemon cruelty.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And then it's just like you get to Sapphire and they're like, we're gonna awaken a legendary Pokemon and drown the entire planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but don't worry, because I'm 10 and I will stop you. But yeah, when you think about that, it's kind of wild. And then you're like, hi, Mum. So I've been all around the world. I'm nemesis of a criminal organization. She's like, oh, I'm so proud of you, darling. Here's some new shoes to run faster.
Yeah.
So
I've saved your money. Here's like 2,000 yen, and you can go buy.
And then the other thing is, you spend the whole game standing and waiting for the Pokemon trainers. You wait for them to look away so you can quickly run past, so you don't have to fight every single person. And that's pretty much a Pokemon game. So once you've played like 6 of them, do you want to spend 60 quid to play it again?
It's a fair point, but also it leads to some hilarious things where like you go back to an earlier area after you've almost finished the game, and you get
slaughter
Joey
everyone
with his level 3 Rattata, and he's just like, I can take you, and you're just like, you just bring out the literal personification of time out of a Pokeball, and it just obliterates him. And you're just like, this is what I do now in my life.
It's like,
I just carry around a god.
weren't you
in a
here like
ball.
last week, like just leaving your home for the first time? You're like, yeah, well, look at me now.
But I love that where you end up in a fight against a pet mouse, essentially, and you just have like the god of space and time on
There's
your side, and
also
it's just like, okay.
there's also the issue of like Pokemon are just used to fight each other and make money.
Yeah.
And
It's a little
people,
bit weird.
and I think I saw a TikTok the other day that pointed that out. Like, Pokemon's a bit questionable when you think about it. Like, you know, we all
Yeah.
have Pokemon, we capture them in little balls, we force them to fight other Pokemon so that we can make money and rise to fame, or we breed them. And then someone
Yeah.
was like, oh, no, it's fine because they like it. I'm like, is this not the same
Do they
argument we
like
make
it?
for animals?
Do your Pokemon like being left in a daycare with a single Ditto for like weeks
Or
on
in a
end?
computer system? Like, what's
Or in a
that weird?
computer system?
With like,
Yeah, you just digitize your Pokemon and put them in a box. It's just like,
literally in a box.
yeah, and it's all run by some guy called Bill. It's just Bill. What's Bill doing? How did Bill do this?
I think we're gonna have to do an episode on Pokemon and come back to this because
And
there's a
how
lot.
absolutely bizarre it is.
When you start to dig on the whole Pokemon thing, it gets more and more questionable.
You can really get in there, and it's just like, what are we looking at
Whoa,
at this
what
point?
are we doing here? The weirdest thing is the mum and the Mr. Mime, I think.
The Mum and the Mr. Mime is pretty weird. Because it's just like Mr. Mime is questionable at best.
He's
He's
freaky looking.
a clown man
Yeah.
who just
I
does his
have a
last box
vague
routine.
You know when you like don't remember something fully? So I have like a vague vision of what he looks like, and I'm sure I'm imagining him creepier than he is, but yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like spindly arms and legs and big boots on for some reason. He's got like big leather shoes.
It's not who you want doing your dishes.
Not who you want to do it. Also, like Pokemon who have clothes, like, is that part of their body? Do they come out naked and you just put some shorts on them, or
It's
the Pokemon who's got like boxing gloves on? Is that like his skin? What are we? Does he just live a life unable to pick anything up because he's just got boxing gloves on?
he's bred for a life of fighting, Zion. That's the issue.
He was made for this.
I mean, I think the designs of Pokemon do get a bit crazy. Like the more each generation, they get crazier.
I mean, there's one that is literally just a bag of rubbish and an ice cream. There's an ice cream as well. There's a chandelier. I mean, one of them is just a set of keys. Like, one of them, you could literally just pick him up and just use him to distract a toddler. Or a 30-year-old man who doesn't really have anything else.
They're really like losing ideas, aren't they? They're like, right, guys, who's planning next Pokemon? We need a new set of Pokemon. And someone's like...
I mean, at least the earlier ones were sort of...
Bottlemon!
Yeah, like, bottle, it's just a bottle. At least the earlier ones were like, it's a horse, or it's a bull, or
a beaver,
rat or something.
Yeah.
And then the later ones, it's just like, it's a bag of garbage.
It's like... That just makes me think of... I think it was the latest season of Riverdale, where
the bag of garbage season.
Well, I mean, we could have a whole episode on Riverdale, but I remember like I think it's the latest season. It's whatever season they do a time skip in. I had already lost a lot of faith, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to see this through to the end. And the thing that made me finally give up on Riverdale was when that season's killer was called the Trash Bag Killer, and I was like, I'm gone. You made no effort. The Trash Bag Killer, like
the Trash Bag Killer. Wow, yeah, that is really something.
And I think they shortened it to the TBK.
Oh, TBK? They didn't shorten it to Teabag, or
with Riverdale, they might have. Who knows?
Yeah, God, it shocks me to learn that those writers and directors are still working.
I think it shocks a lot of people.
They're out there. So they're like some sort of eldritch creatures out there just writing more TV shows. And it's like, oh my God.
If you like watch any interview with the Riverdale cast, they all openly express how much they think it's ridiculous and hate it.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's like Robert Pattinson with Twilight these days. Where someone asks him about Twilight and his response
is... He's like, don't ask me about Twilight. I've done so many other things since then. Yeah.
There's so many other things.
I love that Nintendo Switch 2 hit us to Twilight.
We went a long way with that.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here. That was about 15 minutes ago. I was just like,
We are on
Nintendo Switch.
46 minutes now.
We are. Should we start wrapping things up?
Probably should.
Probably should.
We've got to.
I'm going to end with the hypothetical that I brought up earlier.
Okay.
We were talking.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right. So everyone, episode's nearly over. Stay with us for one last point.
Hold on. So me and my friends the other night, we were talking. Well, they were talking. They were a little bit drunk. I'm going to sanitize this hypothetical for this recording because it was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? I've got so many questions like this, Gab. Like I've got one for every week. Do you think at some point in this weird technology society of ours,
Mm-hmm.
do you think at some point we're going to reach the point where we need hospitals for androids? Like, do you think we're going to have...
I love this question.
Do you think we're going to have, like, some guy calling the NHS or maybe the NAS, the National Android Service, and they're going to be like, listen, my Android, they've been acting up, right? They're not working right. They were washing the dishes. They spilt water everywhere. Do you think at some point we're going to reach the point where we need men in like boiler suits and welding equipment climbing out of like android ambulances to just gurney your android?
Do you think the android hospital is run by other androids?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, can you imagine like if it is incredible, right? Just a fully automated workforce. If
Maybe
it's not,
like...
you've just got a load of blokes with wrenches trying to fix androids.
All of
like
just turn it off. Well, I mean, in the UK, it'll be turn it off and on again. Like
100%. We don't have the money for that, but it's just going to be a load of just dudes in boiler suits with like welding equipment and wrenches and wiring, just being like, "Yeah, android's playing up again." Tried to put washing on, broke it, fell over. And it's just like, and also you reach the point where you think like concerns about, moving these androids, right? You got an unconscious android. It's a robot, right? It's gonna be heavy.
What if it's playing dead?
Exactly. What if it's a trick? But with that kind of body, you're gonna need, two burly blokes called Dave trying to like gurney this.
If I was an android, I would play sick so that my owner has to like call out the android ambulance, pay the fees, and then soon as the android ambulance people walk in, I'll just start acting normally. Like when you've got a problem, like when you've got a problem, like your PC's not working, and you're like, oh, take a look at this, it's not working, and then as soon as someone comes to see the issue, it's fine. That would be me as an android.
That's it.
They'd be like, I don't see an issue with her, and then they'll be like, she was lying on the floor drooling. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I don't compute what you're saying. I was just.
You are going to waste all the money of the National Android Service, and you're going to be.
Well, I'm not an android, so it's okay. But
no, it's fine.
In my honest opinion, I think the world will end far before we get to the level of android hospitals.
I mean, like Back to the Future told us we were going to have like flying cars and hoverboards, and
yeah, I'm still waiting on that.
Still waiting on that hoverboard. I asked for it for Christmas every year since like 1998, and still no hoverboard.
Come on, future.
But that's my hypothetical. Like, do you think we'll reach the point where we need like an android hospital?
If the world isn't over by then, probably.
If we survive.
And I really hope there is one android out there that just fucks with their owners and just pretends to be broken.
I mean, I hope I get the android that looks like Megan Fox, but it's...
I think that already exists, mate.
Yeah, it does. There's terrible movie. Just an awful movie. That brings me to another point, which I'm not going to get into, but like...
Episode 2.
I mean, my only question is just like, if you're going to design a household android, why did you give it those parts,
I think a household android doesn't need parts, but...
It doesn't need parts. Your android should be doing the chores, not anything else.
This is the thing about humanity, though. Once we start making androids to help us clean up, there's going to be androids to help with other things.
Yeah, I think we're already at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we are, but there are humankind. Mankind is weird, man.
But I've been thinking about that question all week. I've been thinking I've got to ask Gabby about the android hospital.
And I brought a chaotic answer of.
Oh yeah,
if I was an android.
To be honest, like the original conversation I had at the weekend was horrifically chaotic.
Yeah.
But listen, we gotta know.
I'm looking forward to Zion's hypothetical at the end of every
Yeah, this is
episode
just
now.
like Zion's hypothetical corner where he just comes up with the most out of pocket, unhinged nonsense. Just complete and utter nonsense.
You know what I always think? Here's my hypothetical. This is
Hit me.
I'm gonna make it weird. This is a really weird. I think I had this thought when I was like drunk one time. You know
Always
how in men's toilets they have like the urinal and it's like one long. Some of them are like one long one, and you'll
We
stand
call
next to
that
each other.
the slip and slide, the splashback
Okay,
machine.
I didn't know that. There you go. So
Well, it's
all
the
connected.
worst possible design.
You stand next to each other. Yeah.
It's all a bit weird.
Why didn't they make like a long seat toilet for women, like a toilet sofa, so we can all sit down and have a chat?
Like a toilet sofa.
Just wondering.
I mean, it's a good question.
Because they're like, well, men can stand next to each other and wee, so why can't women just sit on
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to picture it. It's not a good image. It's actually quite disturbing. Because, like, are you just gonna sit there and just like scroll TikTok, and the woman next to you is just like, "Have you seen this?"
I mean, that's what happens in women's toilets anyway, Zion. Like,
you just usually have a wall.
We all go in the cubicle with each other, or one of us is, excuse me, is there any toilet roll? And they throw it over. You know, like, it would just be easier because there'd be no wall. You'd be like, oh, have you got toilet roll on your one? She'd be like, yeah, sure, here you go.
It's the women's social club. We all sit here and share TikToks while we all sit on the whatever trench sofa we're sat on.
I just wonder who decided that, like, the toilets have to have walls between them, but the urinals don't. I mean, I know some urinals, I think they do have little walls between them, but...
Yeah, I mean, a little wall is preferable, so, you know...
But not all of them have that, so...
No, sometimes you are just standing there, just...
Yeah.
I mean...
That was a drunken thought one time, and I just thought I'd share that with you.
I feel like you needed to share that. I feel like after the Android hospital, we needed another little bit of weird.
No one's ever going to come back to this podcast.
No, they're going to listen to the last 5 minutes. They're going to be like, wow, that was not worth it.
That really took a turn in the last 10 minutes.
That took a turn. But I feel like that's what we need as a closer. We need just some weird discussion.
Weird shit to end it all out, yeah. I mean, it is called Back Row Waffle, so...
It is waffle. I mean, to be honest, the people who like in our community requested this kind of content, they're loving it.
Yeah.
They're loving it right now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a fun way to end though.
Yeah.
And we should round this off, but
let's get
like
weird section.
Successful.
Yeah.
I feel like that went well.
We waffled. Once you get over the fact that you're being recorded, it just feels like we're having a normal conversation.
We went on like the mother of all tangents. I don't know how we got here.
I feel like the tangent is always me as well. You're like, here's a straightforward question, Gabby, and I'm like, here's something that's got nothing to do with that. Anyway.
I'm just like, Gabby, what do you think about the Nintendo Switch 2? And then it ends up with you being like, so really, the Roman Empire were the ones who created roads, right? Like when you think about it. When you think about it, that's where it starts.
And that's what you can expect from Back Row Waffle.
Exactly.
We've been Zion and Gabby. You've been awesome. That's our close out.
Keep that in, editor. Do not cut that out. Do not cut that out. But thank you for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and you should share it with all of your friends and your dog. Just put some little headphones on your dog. Let them listen to this, and
just
they'll
play it
out
loud.
Out of it. Yeah, you could play it out loud. You could give us an extra view by putting it on your phone on headphones with your dog, and then on your PC with speakers for you. A little special treat just for you, not just the dog. But you should definitely
hear the toilet talk.
Yeah.
Personally.
You can tell your friends, hey, I listened to these two weirdos over the weekend, and you should listen to it too.
Yeah.
And with that,
let us know your thoughts on the Android hospital.
Yeah, I need some input on this. Like,
now we'll know who listened to the end.
Yeah, we'll know who got all the way through if they ask us questions about the Android hospital. Can we make merch? Can we have a shirt that just says, ask me about my Android hospital?
And one with a toilet sofa?
And a toilet sofa. Ask me about my toilet sofa. That is the most loaded question you could possibly come with to a stranger. Just go up to them and say, please, ask me about my toilet sofa.
I beg you, please.
I beg you, please.
Right. We don't have an official closeout yet.
We don't.
But thank you for listening if you got this far.
Yeah.
I promise the next episodes will be more contained.
I don't.
I don't either, really. It's just another false promise.
But you should definitely like it and comment on it and share it and do
subscribe.
all of the things and subscribe. And I don't know what other platforms this will be on. So whatever the
button is, hit the button.
Button that says like this was all right. This.
Yeah, don't hit the dislike button.
No.
Or the androids will come for you.
The Android hospital will have a breakout, and you do not want to be there when that happens. And with that, goodbye.
Right, cut it there.
Got it?